Gift of the Bambino is it's actually the second novel that I wrote, but the first one that was published. The first novel, many writers will tell you, was a practice novel. In my case, it certainly was. When my father passed away, my children, my son and my daughter, were still quite young. And I was really concerned about how they were going to remember their grandfather. And it was a few months after my father died. And what really happened here is I was still going through a mourning process. And it got channeled into creative energy, and it wound up into a novel, so it was very positive. So it was really a culmination of a few things that happened, and it's quite interesting. After he died, I got hold of this photograph of my dad that was taken in 1934, and it was the City of Toronto Bantam basketball champion team from 1934. So my dad would have been about 14 or 15 years old. And I was numbed when I saw this because I had never before in my life seen a photograph of him as a boy. And today, you know, people might think that's kind of strange, but, you know, back in those days, people didn't take photographs as readily as they do today. So I had this photograph, and all the kids in this picture, and they were Depression-era kids. I'm talking 1934. And at the time, I was reading this biography about Babe Ruth called Babe, the Legend Comes to Life by Robert Creamer. And a man I met later, he was an editor with Sports Illustrated. This is the definitive biography of Babe Ruth. And I discovered that Babe Ruth hit his first professional home run in my hometown in Toronto in 1914. He spent 1 year in the minor leagues, the International League. And in that 1 year, 1914 season, he hit 1 home run. Now, he was a pitcher, so he only came to bat. He only played, you say, every 4th game as a pitcher, so he didn't come to bat that often. And that year, September 5th, 1914, Babe Ruth hit his first pro home run at this old ballpark at Hanlon's Point on the Toronto Islands. And I thought that was quite a monumental thing. So what happened is that home run, Babe Ruth, this old photograph of my dad, and this idea of wanting to write a book that involves a grandfather and grandchildren all came together, and it became Gift of the Bambino. And the boys in that photograph became characters. And it's a book that's about a young boy and the relationship he has with his grandfather and how they are bound by baseball. And there are a lot of historical flashbacks. Babe Ruth himself is a character in the book. And that's how the story proceeds. And that's how it came together. And I always think of my dad when I think about that book.